Hey y'all, today we're making chocolate chip oatmeal cookie bars. That is quite the mouthful for a recipe, isn't it? So get your oven preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Get you a small bowl, and to that bowl you're going to add in 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Then you're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, whisk that together, and then we're just going to sit that over to the side until we are ready for it. But when you mix your dry ingredients like this ahead of time, it just makes sure that everything gets good and incorporated, and you don't end up with a little pile of cinnamon over here and a little hunk of salt over there. You know what I mean? Okay, so to a little bit bigger bowl, we're going to add in 1 cup of brown sugar. And I got this recipe off of Pinterest, so that's where this comes from. And it said lightly packed, but I didn't read that part, and I just packed mine in there, and it turned out fine. It'll be okay. Do the best you can. So 1 cup of brown sugar, and then 1 stick of melted butter, okay? I used unsalted. I feel like if you that much butter in this small amount of cookies, it might be a little bit much to have salted butter. But if salted butter is what you have, then you use what you have. But I did use unsalted in mine. But you're just going to want to mix your butter and sugar up together until it kind of starts to dissolve that sugar a little bit. You know what I mean? We don't want any dry sugar in there. So then you're going to add in about a teaspoon or so of vanilla and 1 egg. Let your egg be room temperature. It's just easier to fool with. If you forget to sit it out and let it come to room temperature, put it in a bowl of warm water for 5 or 10 minutes, and it'll bring your egg to room temperature. There's y'all's tip for the day. You know, I'm always trying to give y'all a little something, and I'm pretty sure we've had that conversation before. But, you know, if not, there you go. So you're just going to whisk that together till you get everything good and combined. You want to make sure that you don't have any stringy egg in there. You know what I mean? Just mix it up until it's all nice and mixed. How many times can I say mix in one sentence? Anyway, what is that? 43? Is anybody counting? All right, moving on. Once you get this all mixed up, you're going to add in that flour mixture that we mixed up the first part of the video. You're just going to want to dump that right into your sugar mixture, and then we're going to mix this up. One of the best things that I found anyway about this recipe is, you know, sometimes you want something, you know, I want a little something sweet, but I don't want a lot of work, and I don't want to mess up half the dishes in my kitchen. Yes, we use a couple of bowls, but they're super easy to wash, right? I didn't have to drag out my stand mixer. You don't have to get out your hand mixer for this. You can do everything with a little spoon, a little rubber spatula, a rubber silicone spatula like I'm using, and a couple of whisks. That's all I really used, and 2 bowls. So, you know, it's an easy recipe. It's very quick to throw together. And I'll tell you, this is probably one of the best cookie bars that I've ever had. All the stuff that we put in here, just texture-wise and taste-wise, it worked so good together. So good. So if you're looking for a good cookie bar, definitely don't sleep on this one, okay? So once you get that all mixed up, we're going to start doing our little add-ins. Now, these are the old-fashioned oats. That's the big ones. Now, if you get instant oats, that's the little tiny ones. You could still probably use those, but the texture is going to be a little different, okay? So I did 1 cup of the oats, and then I added in about 3/4 cup of milk chocolate chips. You can use whatever kind of chocolate chips you like. Then I added in 1/2 cup of mini M&ms. And at the last second, I decided to add in some pecans. All I had was pecan half, so I put them in a Ziploc bag and took my meat mallet out and just mashed them until I got them into some smaller pieces. You know, do what works. But another good thing about this recipe, there's so many things, is, you know, add the oats for sure and some sort of chocolate, because it is a chocolate chip oatmeal. But if you don't want to do the chocolate chips and you just want to do M&Ms, you can do that. If you just want to do chocolate chips, do chocolate chips. If you just want, if you don't want to put the pecans in them, don't. It wasn't even in the recipe. I just thought it sounded good. If you like walnuts, put walnuts in there. If you don't like nuts, somebody's allergic to nuts, don't put any in there at all. You know what I mean? Like, these recipes are so, you can customize them so easy to whatever the people in your house like. But I will tell you, with all the stuff that I put in here, these were stinking delicious. You hear me? That's what it looks like, a hot mess. But that's okay. It tasted good, and that's all that matters. So now you're going to take an 8x8, this might be a 9x9 pan. We're going to ball up that parchment paper just like we did in the last video, right? We're going to ball that parchment paper up, and then we're going to put it in the bottom of our pan, and that balling it up like that will help hold your parchment paper in place where it's not rolling up everywhere, okay? So once you get your parchment paper down, and we just put the parchment paper in there because these are a lot easier to cut if you can pull them out of the pan and cut them rather than trying to cut them in the pan. Plus, then you risk scratching up your pan when you're trying to cut, So the parchment paper just lets it, be a little easier for you to pull everything out in one piece, okay? So like I said, this is a really kind of a thick, dry feeling. It's not dry, but just super, super thick with all the stuff that's in it. So press it out the best that you can because you want these to cook even. And then at the last minute also, I thought, I'll make them a little bit prettier, and I just sprinkled a few more of those little mini M&ms right on the top, okay? Once you get everything done, you're going to pop these in the oven, again, 350 degrees Fahrenheit for about 25 to 30 minutes. You're just going to have to watch it. Everybody's oven is different. Once they come out, see how they're lightly browned around the edges and it's not like wet and jiggly in the middle. Once it comes out, you're going to let these sit until they cool completely, okay? Once they're completely cooled down, you're just going to pop it right out of your pan just like that. Cleanup is a breeze, right? And then you're just going to take a big knife and cut these into squares. Now, I will say, because of having the chocolate chips and the M&ms in there, these are sweet. They're not like so sweet you can't eat them. But they are sweet. So I would say cut them into small, little squares. Unless you just want a gigantic one, then honey, you do whatever you want to do. But these are, even days later, these are still super, super chewy. Once I had them all cut out, I just put them over in a Ziploc bag, and they were good, like I said, for a week probably. I mean, that's only as long as it lasted. But if you're looking for a good cookie bar, you got to try these. Okay, that's all I've got for y'all today, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Bye, y'all.